What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Issues with Wrestling. I'm Christopher Miles, and first and foremost, apologies for the show being so delayed between vacations and being booked so much. Good problem to have. And other things, we're a little delayed with this episode, but this week we're talking about it, the toxicity of the wrestling fandom. How toxic is it? Can it be redeemed? Is it overblown? Who knows? But joining me this week, we have two return guests and one debut. First, joining us, he is a boisterous wrestling fan, and he has his own takes on wrestling. You can find on Facebook, Thornton's Takes on Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, returning to the show, Thornton Parker. Thornton, buddy, how are you?
Fantastic, TJ. Great seeing you again, man.
Yeah, so I knew that when we were going to do this episode, you had to be on it because you have some takes on this fandom in particular. So, welcome aboard, and also joining us, another return guest, ring announcer extraordinaire for Dynamo Pro and occasionally CHWA, ladies and gentlemen, DJ Big Sexy himself, and the host of Wrestle Talk Podcast, Chris Rodell. Chris, what's up, buddy?
What's up, my friends? Man, I'm actually happy to be on with Thornton because he's one of my favorite people.
Oh,
I feel so honored.
And making her debut on the show, just like me, a proud member of the I-70 sports media team, Babs. Babs, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
And I also knew that you'd be someone perfect to bring on this, because I'm sure you have a lot of opinions, given you're closest to the wrestling industry, about this fandom. So since you're the new guest, we'll start with you. What, in your opinion, in wrestling and in general, is a toxic fan?
Well, let's do, for example, the Dana Brooke match that she had on NXT. Following NXT on Tuesday, she put out a tweet saying, "Yes, fans, I know I suck, but I'm still here, so deal with it." So I'm guessing a lot of the fans were on Twitter saying a lot of stuff about her wrestling abilities, and I see that a lot, not just with Dana Brooke, but with a lot of other wrestlers in general.
Yeah, and I think I have an example from last night. I worked Glory Pro at big venue Delmar Hall here in St. Louis. There's a difference between toxicity and just being a fan, because some fan kept yelling, calling me Pawn Stars, which I had to almost not laugh at, because it was like, okay, that's really clever. That's not toxic. That's you being a fan. I get it. I almost kind of enjoyed it, because at least they're engaging. But yeah, there's some really
Stars?
Pawns, yeah, with the bald head and kind of big, you know.
Yeah.
I remember that show.
All right, so
I was trying to figure it out too. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I heard Pawn Stars, and I heard Steve Wilkos, and I heard a couple other names last night. So.
For the love of God, you look like neither one of those people that they're talking about.
Hey,
I love you, but you don't look like any of those people.
I even heard Billy Corgan. Like, Billy Corgan's super skinny, just because all bald guys aren't the same people. Okay,
that's gotta be
I mean,
who's the baseball player that looks like Steve Wilkos? Who was that? I can't pin. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do, but I can't remember his name either. So yeah,
I can't either. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
All right, so Rodell, what is a toxic fan to you?
People who shit on other companies. I hate this WWE AEW dynamic that you either like AEW or you like WWE, and you can't like either or. I like both. I don't care. I mean,
didn't we have that in the Monday Night Wars though? Weren't there people picking sides, or was it just not as prevalent?
Well, it wasn't as prevalent because the internet wasn't as big back then.
Yeah, big contributing factor.
And I'll admit, me and my friends sat in my mom's living room every Monday morning or Monday night, hitting that back button and going back and forth.
And it was easier to recall back then, boom, 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 boom. So, Thornton, go to you, man. What is a toxic fan?
A toxic fan, I wouldn't say is defined by one single trait or quality, but there's different types of toxicity, and a toxic fan, and to me, is anyone who displays any one of them. You know, someone who is just there to offer not even criticism, but just flat out insult any and everything that they're watching. And this doesn't just exist for the wrestling fandom, just all types of fandoms. The main ones I encounter it in are with music, anime, and wrestling. And I will dare say that wrestling is probably the worst that I've encountered it in.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it. There's almost like a psychosis to it because we had the guy that was arrested out in front of the performance center with a knife. We had the guy that tried to break into Sonya Deville's house. I mean, we've had the people that show up at the airport with we saw with Jeff Hardy.
What the dude that did with Jeff Hardy, I was like, bro, come on.
That's not cool. And the people that try and make this not fun. It's like,
yes,
this is supposed to be a good time, supposed to be having fun, and when you make it about you and not being about the show, that's where I have a huge problem. So Thornton,
so that goes back to something that we talked about a couple weeks ago on the Wrestle Talk podcast, is people attacking wrestlers in the airport for signatures. Why?
I mean, I'm not an autograph or pictures person. Be it music,
on eBay.
Yeah, music, wrestling, sports. I don't really want that person's signature. It's not for me. I get the appeal, but it's like I'm not going to take my time to go to the airport or the hotel lobby and harass this poor person.
Especially at midnight or 1 a.m.
They're probably just getting off a plane, groggy as all hell,
or they just finished a show.
Well, in that case, and I have to label myself as a toxic fan because I have been to the airports and the hotels, but I don't get autographs.
Mm-hmm.
I just get pictures, and I go to see my friends that are coming in.
See, that's different. That's different.
Yes.
That's different.
Are you requesting pictures from people who obviously don't want them? We've seen the pictures.
No, no. If I see that they're denying people, I don't even approach them.
Yeah,
that's why I have other people do that.
That's toxicity.
So, yeah.
Being a fan, that's fine because I still put pictures of like Paul Heyman or Randy Orton's. Like I would rather be anywhere else.
I'm like, let me meet Randy Orton. If I catch him in the line at Starbucks or something,
Randy hates it for sure. Like I have seen him one time, and I only asked him because I had never seen him. I hadn't seen him in like 6 years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if that's the case.
Living in St. Louis, you're going to see Randy probably a better chance, but
I lived there for 20 years. Never once ran into him, but every non-wrestling fan I know has met this man.
So I'll say this, tying it to sports. So, as everyone knows, St. Louis is like a sports hotbed, and a lot of the athletes choose to stay here when they retire.
Allegedly.
Okay, I've run into Ozzie Smith hundreds of times, and I've never bothered the man. It's like, oh, there's Ozzie Smith. Cool. Hi. Greatest shortstop of all time. But it's like there's a different kind of fandom. So, Thornton, you went last, so we go first this time. Why is the toxicity so prevalent in wrestling as opposed to sports, music, other media?
There's a lot of factors. I think one that as wrestling fans we don't really like to admit is that we're a niche, we're a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
We are considered nerds, but other nerd cultures do not like engage with us.
We talked about that.
And it's like, bruh, the nerds that watch anime, they're still gonna be like, you watch that fake shit. The nerds that read comic books, oh my god, you watch that fake shit. And it's like, you guys engage in all these types of fantasy things, and then you got the nerve to say that. Like, bro, come on, we are all out here watching something silly. Please get off my case.
Yeah.
But it's more prevalent. One of the factors is the accessibility of it through the internet, because now it literally takes no effort to just grab a phone with a a touchscreen keyboard, get on Twitter and go type some shit. Like it's not that hard. Dave Meltzer does it all the time.
So
this morning.
Yep. Babs, go ahead. Why is it so prevalent in wrestling?
Well, I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of Thornton. Like, I agree that social media has opened up a lot of, I excuse my language, a lot of shithead fans, and they do have a lot going on Twitter, and especially if you don't like said person, they become a trending topic because you don't like them, and so
Mhm.
many people are talking about it. So it's just like. And I feel like it's not held to a different standard for pro wrestling because it's not called out as much as everything else.
All right.
I'll say that because, like, especially whenever Zack Ryder first went on to the indie scene and how he was getting, everybody's all, oh my gosh, you'll be nothing better than an indie wrestler and blah, blah, blah. But obviously he is. And it's just a lot of stuff that's been said about a lot of people, especially on social media. And I will still stand that social media is going to be the death of pro wrestling.
We're going to talk about that later in the show for sure. So, I mean, Rodell, finish it up.
TikTok has ruined wrestling for me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't
Yes.
say. I shouldn't
Oh,
say
TikTok too.
I shouldn't say it's ruined wrestling, but my God, there are a lot of really bad takes on wrestling on TikTok.
And all social media, but yes.
Yeah,
But, I will close it out by saying this, that I believe it's worse in pro wrestling because, and Thornton touched on it a little bit, we are so sensitive to our fandom. It's like you can go to an anime nerd and like say, "Oh, this show's better than that show," and you'll get an argument, but you won't get visceral hate.
Are you sure?
If you sometimes from what I've some.
It depends on the show. You're
Yeah.
gonna encounter those with anime fans.
But like if you go to a wrestling fan and you tell them that WWE is the greatest thing ever and AEW sucks, there might be a fight.
It's weird. The tribalism is weird how they do that.
Okay.
And it doesn't even it's not even WWE versus AEW. It's on the independent wrestling scene.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell one person that this company is better than company A is better than company B, and you're gonna fucking get a fight.
Oh, we drew a bigger crowd. Oh, we had a hotter crowd. What are these dynamics? Well, what are we talking about? Come on.
What the fuck? We're drawing from the same talent pool in the area.
You got the same guys working the show. They just doing something different than they did at the other show.
Absolutely.
Keep the same fans going because you're across the street from each other.
That's the reason why I quit the wrestling business way back in the 90s, because I didn't like the politics because, oh, you can't work for this company if you don't work for this company. That's not my shit. No, fuck that shit.
That ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm trying to get paid.
Yes, exactly. I want to work myself as many places as I can, and that has ruffled some feathers drastically. But I digress. So, Rodell, do you think it's worse than other forms of media and entertainment, and how so?
It's worse because, one, we have TikTok, because anyone with a phone and a camera can post shit takes of wrestling to TikTok.
So there's no baseball and hockey TikTok though. Then what you're saying?
No, not honestly.
Really.
Honestly, no. There's really not. I find more wrestling shit on TikTok than I do anything, and a lot of the people go on their looks, because there's a couple of people that are like, "Oh, hey, I'm blonde. I'm 20 something. I have big tits, and I'm going to give a wrestling take."
The views expressed by Chris Rodell are not those of I-70 Sports Media or Issues Wrestling.
I'm just saying.
I know.
But I understand what he's talking about, though.
Right,
in his defense, the fat neck beard dudes are doing the exact same thing. They are not alone, ladies.
Exactly. There's the 500-pound guys that are in their basement with neck beards and fucking telling us that
guy botched the move. He's the worst ever. Like, sir, you need a forklift to get out of bed. Please calm down.
Well, okay. Let me comment about that. Like, Jeff Hardy made like 2 or 3 botches on AEW on Wednesday. I think that's what it was. And everybody is like, oh my gosh, he should have retired like 10 years ago and blah, blah, blah. That man has been risking his life for the last 25 years. And you're going to tell him that he's a piece of shit because he missed a rope?
Let's see you. Let's see you even do a simple back bump, okay? Let's see you do that.
Yeah, like seriously though.
I've been in the wrestling business for years. I've never taken a bump or a back bump, and
Yet.
I don't plan on doing it anytime soon.
I watched guys training take a back bump, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm okay. I'm okay being on this side of the guardrail.
So tell me, Thornton, your opinion, was it worse? How is it different from other forms of media? Is it worse?
Social media and wrestling and tribalism, it's a matter of positives and negatives. There's positive ways to do everything, and there's a negative way to do everything. And unfortunately, we live in a very negative society, and everything is a reflection of that, from our news media to music to pop culture, and of course that spreads to wrestling as well. Negative shit is going to get a bigger reaction a lot quicker than a positive thing, because it's easier to make people mad than it is to make them happy. Point blank, period.
Yeah. You can't make everybody happy. There's going to be someone who hates on everything that every company does. I mean, WWE, you're not going to push this person. AEW, you're not going to push this person. Local independent promotion, you're not going to push this person. Someone's not going to be happy.
It's this one Facebook page I encountered. It's called the Pro Wrestling World, and I will argue it's the worst wrestling fandom page I have seen on the book, and that covers a lot.
Is it run by Dan? I mean, sorry.
Oh my God, he found Dan.
Terrible.
Well, it's been a good show, guys. I will see you later.
Anyway.
But back to what I was saying, and it's like I saw one clip of the guy, complaining about the bloodline story. He's like, I don't really get why you guys enjoy it, but hey, that's your type of deal. And I'm like, wow, one of you really has sense. And the amount of people that were attacking him in the comments for just saying that I don't like this, but I get why other people do. And it's just like, bro, look, I get it. I think the bloodline is the best thing in wrestling too.
Exactly.
And, for people who don't think the same thing, Personally, I don't understand why you wouldn't, but if you don't, that's your opinion. It's your right to it.
It's on you.
A lot of people.
I get why people don't like certain things. I mean, it's not your.
It's not your thing.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
But the Bloodline storyline since the beginning has probably been one of the best storylines in the past 5-10 years in the business.
Debatable, but yeah, it's been good. It had its ups and downs, but it's been good.
Yeah.
All
right, I will tell you this: SmackDown is a lot less watchable with it when it's not on there.
And we're nearing the end of it. Maybe.
I'm thinking half point.
Thought we were before, but with Cody,
I'm thinking we're at the half point.
Are they going to bring more people in? Are they going to bring in
or it's just started really? Because I mean, they just broke the team up, so I mean, obviously they've got something in the works, and I think it's just the beginning.
The Civil War stage is going to take some time, but like the point being is like it's the attacking people for what they like and don't like. It's the attacking people online. It's like, bro, I get it. You don't like you don't have to like WWE. You don't have to like AEW. You don't have to like Ring of Honor, New Japan, whatever your preference is. Even the deathmatch wrestlers, like, not my particular thing. I get why somebody else wants to watch that, but it ain't for me.
I don't want to see. I necessarily don't want to see people go through light tubes and glass doors and stuff like that. But if people want to watch it,
it has its niche. There's a reason that it's still happening.
Hey,
if it was really that terrible, it would have died off a long time ago.
Hey, you do you. And I've always been the kind of person. I know this is a completely offset of wrestling, but I don't kick shame. It's
their own.
As someone who's reffed those matches, I can tell you that they are definitely not everyone's cup of tea. So,
I mean, I don't want to go in. I don't want to ref a match. I mean, I haven't reffed forever, but I don't want to ref a match where I have to wear like possibly a full
Welder's gloves and a
PPE,
long sleeve shirt. The thing
welder's
I wore.
gloves, like
Yes.
Or that one rep that was that was like dressed like a fucking astronaut for Moxley and Omega with that exploding match.
I don't want to dress in full PPE. I mean, that's Chris's thing.
Uncomfortable.
That's
Yes.
Miles'
Yeah.
thing.
So, all right, I'll let you guys know. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but we'll get into it really deeply here. Tribalism. It exists in all of sports and media. I mean, if you're a fan of the Cardinals, you hate the Cubs. If you're a
DC and
fan-
Marvel.
Yes,
Yeah,
and the
DC and
Blackhawks.
Marvel. Yes, Blues fan, you hate the Blackhawks. Giants and Dodgers. But what is it about wrestling where it's entire companies? You don't just like a wrestler and hate the other bad wrestler. Like, if you like this, you can't like this. No chocolate, no peanut butter. Why can't they meld? Babs.
And
Well,
it's like, I'm sorry. Go on.
go
ahead,
ahead,
Babs.
Thornton.
No, Babs,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so I feel like fans, especially between AEW and WWE, they feel like they're entitled to their opinion for one company rather than the other. It's
Mhm.
kind of like if I'm an AEW fan, I feel like my opinion about AEW trumps everybody else's about every other wrestling promotion or company that's out there. I see that a lot on Facebook and on Twitter both, because if you don't agree with something that somebody says about AEW, oh my gosh, you're a Vince fanboy, blah, blah, blah. I see it all the time.
Constantly.
I completely agree because I mean, it's like yeah, y'all are gonna laugh because I know I'm on TikTok, but the AEW fans and the WWE fans on TikTok are like the complete opposite. They're like, we can't coexist. We can't coexist. Why not? Because most of the people in AEW came from WWE.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't know if the internet made it worse because, like, I watched during the Monday Night War. I watched in the days of the WWF and the NWA. I liked wrestling. I didn't care when it was on, what was on.
The IWC has always been terrible. It doesn't
They-
matter
they
what version
Yes.
it is, whether it's the Meltzer blog or the early stages of Twitter, the early stages of Facebook, or what we have now. The IWC has been terrible forever.
Every time they get a new platform, they find a way to paint it badly.
Yes.
It's
And
what
you
they
know
it's
who
what they do.
The running horse behind all of it is Meltzer.
Yeah,
It really
I can say
is.
that.
It really is.
I mean,
So,
on TikTok right now, the hashtag is Wrestle Talk, Wrestle Talk,
Mhm.
and there's only a couple people I follow because they're good. The others are like just they're like 23-year-old that like want to like bang Darby Allin and shit.
That the only wrestling world they know is post WCW.
Right.
Yeah. And
They haven't lived our lives. They haven't lived the WWE wrestle
they didn't.
Superstar-
They haven't.
the original Superstars or the Wrestling Challenge, or where
You have to be able to, maybe if you don't, if you're not too fond of the history, you have to at least acknowledge and respect that it did pave the way for us to get here.
Sure.
For example, I started watching wrestling in 2003. Completely missed the Monday Night Wars. John Cena was my introduction to the business.
Okay.
So
Okay.
with that being said, a lot of the stuff from the 90s and the 80s, with few exceptions, it's hard for me to watch because that's just not what I grew up on. Most
Well,
wrestling fans start watching wrestling as kids.
It's the same if I was to go back and watch like Gorgeous George or Edgeringle or Lewis. I could appreciate the fact that was wrestling at the time, but it's
Right.
not what I really want to watch right now.
The wrestling has changed, which is why when people talk about the casual fan and shit, and I'm sitting here like, bro, wrestling has no casual fans anymore. It's already a niche,
hardly.
which means if you're watching this, you're hardcore by default. Even the WWE fans.
Yeah.
the first wrestling show I ever watched was at my uncle's house, and we rented WrestleMania 3 at Blockbuster, believe it or not. I mean,
Good times.
and I sat and watched it, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? And he's like, yeah, they show this stuff on like channel 30 at like 10 a.m. and on a Sunday morning. I'm like, okay.
All right, so merchandising. Speaking of merchandising, you can buy your Christopher Miles and I-70 Sports Media shirts at this link right here, ProSleekTees.com. So, merchandising, how much does the merchandising affect the tribalism? Because, for example, I collect T-shirts, I collect action figures, and belts. When I walk into the toy store, walk down the aisle, it's all guys that look like me. There are hardly any children buying these toys anymore or these shirts. So how much is that merchandising kind of tied into the toxicity, Babs?
Personally,
Well,
I don't see the correlation.
Okay. Okay.
I kind of don't either, but I mean, I get what you're saying, because I mean, I've got like pretty much every Bloodline shirt that they've got,
Yeah.
and I've got,
Orange Cassidy.
Any UK wrestling like fandom, like I'm pretty much a part of that too, because I got all their shirts. I don't really see it as toxic per se, but sometimes it can get out of hand a lot.
Like, I've got this figure that I just got for $19. I can flip it for $75.
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't call that toxic. That's just business.
So
fair.
I equivocated to like being a fan of a sports team. Obviously I'm a St. Louis Blues fan because I've got just about every jersey that the St. Louis
Way
Blues
less than me
have put out. No, that's not true. You have about 40 Blues jerseys, if I'm not mistaken.
40?
Yeah.
Oh. I need to up my game on my Cardinals jerseys then.
He also buys jerseys of teams that are no longer relevant anymore.
Well, that no longer
like
exist.
The St. Louis Rams?
No, I will never have that. But I have St. Louis Browns. I have that one right here on right now, and I have
soon he'll probably be able to buy an Arizona Coyotes jersey.
I'm really hopeful.
You mean the Kansas City Coyotes?
Not the Kachina jersey though, because the Kachina jersey sucks.
No, I want that purple howling coyote. That's the one I want.
But I mean, if you're a fan, you're a fan. You're gonna buy what you want to buy. I mean, if that's what you're into, I know people that are into Funko Pops and buy every Funko Pop that's ever been produced. I mean, what's wrong? What's wrong with?
I'm not saying I was asking, but like, are we hoarding this stuff? Are we keeping it out of the hands of people who would really appreciate it? Or is
okay. So you're like you're talking about in reference to like gatekeeping.
Yes.
No.
It's like if I see
now, if they have like 7 or 8 of the same figures, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't go in and buy all 8 if like they have 8 Funko Pops.
First of all, you can afford to do that. You need to find better things to do with your money.
Well, there's the running joke, like you see a young kid in a Nirvana shirt. Oh yeah, well, name 3 songs. Do we get that in wrestling? Do we have people that like wear an Austin 316 shirt and like, oh yeah, name 3 of his best matches?
You know what? I have a funny story now that you brought that subject up. Okay, so back when I was living in St. Louis about a year ago. So this is like about 4 years ago. I was working at Chipotle at the West County Mall, and this new guy started at the job, decked from head to toe in Bullet Club gear. I swear to Bullet Club hat, Bullet Club shirt, Bullet Club hoodie, Bullet Club sweats. Like the man is decked out in Bullet Club gear, and I'm over here like, man, it's been a while since I've had a wrestling fan to talk to at work. I'm like, hey man, you're a fan of the Bullet Club? He's like, yeah man. I was like, all right, cool, awesome. What you think about that? He's like, man, I am the club. I grew up with these guys. And I'm sitting here like, bro, you're the same age as me. We are not. We didn't grow up with these guys. What are you talking about?
I would ask, which version of the Bullet Club are you? I mean,
I was like, did you like AJ Styles, for Prince Devitt, Kenny Omega? He's like, man, I am the club. And I'm sitting here like, You just bought that shit from Hot Topic, didn't you? He's like, yeah.
It looked cool.
Wow.
It broke your heart, didn't it?
That's like probably not half true.
Not
It
uncommon.
It made me so mad, and it's one of the reasons why I hate Hot Topic. Like, I'll admit I have a couple of gatekeeping tendencies, and one of mine is I hate when people buy merch for shit they're not actually a fan of. Band shirts specifically.
He probably walked into Hot Topic and like, hey, this shirt looks cool. I'm gonna fucking buy it,
and then bought the whole fit,
and absolutely not know what it's about.
That Bone Soldier shirt, the standard Bullet Club shirt, was the highest selling shirt in the history of Hot Topic, and they weren't all wrestling fans.
Exactly. Most of them weren't.
It just looked cool. I have it.
Like 50%. Like I would say, like maybe half knew that Bullet Club was a wrestling thing.
Never mind the tons of parodies, majority of which came from the Young Bucks.
And how many indie guys have some variation of their version of Club?
Because they know it's gonna sell.
The fucking WWE has a version of the Club with
Balor Club is in the building,
and with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers. I mean, they're the OC. That's a offshoot of the Club.
Okay,
right? Like, what do people think OC stands for?
Orange something. I don't
know.
No,
it's not Orange Cassidy. That's AEW, brother.
I know.
Brother.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
Okay, Babs specific. Babs, does the reputation of the audience keep new fans away, you think?
Oh, for sure. Because if you go to a show and there's people acting like jackasses all around you and just making it a really tough time to watch the show, I wouldn't want to come back. Let me be quite honest. Moline, Illinois has the worst wrestling fan base ever because they don't appreciate their shows. All they do is just go to their shows and just scream at the wrestlers and go home. They didn't even appreciate it.
So they were just there to, I guess, vent their frustrations of life at these poor wrestlers?
Yes, yeah, and basically what it was, because nobody was cheering for the heels or for the babies and nobody was booing the heels, they were doing the exact opposite. So like Randy, he was supposed to be a heel at that time. They cheered him all the way, and Roman was there too. Roman was supposed to be a heel. They cheered him. It was just like the exact opposite. And it was just like, what are you guys doing? Just to be funny?
The only venue in Moline that I remember was the Market of the Quad Cities that I went to, and there was a pay-per-view, a WCW pay-per-view, and yeah, they were terrible there.
Yes. Honest to God. And that's the reason why I won't ever go to Molina ever again.
Well, there should be several reasons you never go to Molina again, and wrestling is one of them.
Yes.
Because Molina is terrible. I mean,
yes.
So, I mean, Rodell, elaborate on that. Do you think that the reputation in the fandom keeps new people away?
Yes, because if you go to a show, let's say you go to a local independent show, and you know it's your first time there, but you meet this you meet this fan that's like, I hate everything about everything in gym. Blah, 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 blah. Why are you gonna buy a ticket to the next show?
Who wants to be around all that?
Yeah, even if I had fun, I don't want to be back around those people.
Right? You have fun, okay? I mean, it just, yeah. I mean,
I also can't stand the toxic fans that aren't fans at all and that are there just to see their friends and get intoxicatingly drunk and then be obnoxious the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Drunk fans are a whole nother story.
That's like every.
That's a whole other like.
That's probably I was gonna say that's gonna be another show, but yeah.
Thornton, bring it home. How do we keep
like
away?
From my personal experience, I remember going to Money in the Bank in 2017.
Oh my
God. My best friend and I, we got tickets. We were in the nosebleeds, and the guys we were next to, for the entire 3-hour show would not shut the hell up going, don't hinder the gender, don't hinder the gender, don't hinder the gender. And I'm like, bro, he's not even on right now. Shut the fuck up.
So here's my.
It makes you not even. It's not even just there. It's online. The way wrestling fans talk about wrestling and everything, and it makes someone who doesn't understand or doesn't know anything about it go, why are you watching this if you're always complaining about it?
Because they want to make themselves a part of the show and bigger than the show.
They really think they matter a lot more than they do, and it's like, bro, these wrestlers don't care about us. They don't know us. They're here to go in the ring, do their job, entertain us for like 20 or 30 minutes a night, and go home.
That's like going to a show where someone is not on. Let's just say Camaro Jackson is not on the show. It's like Camaro was not on the show. Why are you chanting his name?
You're over here ignoring the people who are busting their ass in the ring, trying to get you to react, and you're not even paying attention.
I love Camaro
okay,
Jackson.
Well, let me piggyback off of that really quick. I was at the WrestleMania Raw afterwards that they had Beach Ball Mania. Okay, does everybody remember all of that?
Yes.
One of the worst things I've ever seen on television.
I was there that Raw, and I want to say it was either Heath Slater or Claudio, maybe, that actually was like grabbing the beach balls.
It was Claudio. He ran into the crowd.
It was Claudio.
Yes.
He ran in the crowd, grabbed the beach ball, and tore that shit up.
Yes, because it was distracting. And piggybacking off of what you guys just said, I was there to see that personally and saw them get very upset. And it's just like, why even do that if you've been told to stop? I understand being funny, but it's at some point you have to just not do it anymore.
So after a while, I started to sympathize with WWE for shitting on those fans that were always chanting out CM Punk, even though he had been gone from the company for years at that point.
Yes.
So before I tell my story,
I don't blame Stephanie McMahon for roasting y'all on television.
Before I tell my story, Aaron Wallace says that he's glad that Snitch is not here. So, I mean, there's something at least. So my story was...
I'm glad too. I mean...
Yeah. So I was...
You know, me and Stitch have a checkered background?
Relationship. I don't know. I know that at least two of us were here for the legendarily bad Lockdown 07 in St. Louis.
Yes.
I was there.
I wanted to go. I really did.
They fucking forgot the cage.
We know.
Well, that and like the sounds of the electrified cage didn't even match when they touched it.
And the blindfolded cage match. But that's not the point. The point is, the guy sitting next to me completely ruined this already bad show for me. Because every single wrestler that came out during their entire entrance, he would chant their real name. So it's like he would chant their government name at them the whole match, like during their entrance, and then back in the match, you go back and forth between the two wrestlers. So it's like, what point are you proving that you have Google? I mean, what are you doing?
Why did you not throat punch this guy?
Because I didn't want to get kicked out. Okay, I have a job to think about.
I would have saved you. It would have been okay.
That like brings you to another point. It's like, fans are in a contest to see who's the smartest fan. It's like, well, I know this, I know that, and it's like, bro, we all understand how wrestling works, so we wouldn't be fans at this point. Like,
and I've been to a Raw after Mania too, and it was the Fandango one. And
yes.
Okay, it might have been funny for like the first 10 minutes, but after a while you're like, can we just get on with the show, please? You're making this about you.
Show.
There was at one point during that show that there was a "We Are Awesome" chant, and it's like, guys, come on,
really?
Please get over yourselves.
Yes,
I think that's the biggest message I have for wrestling fans.
Okay, so that's the reason the next question, Thornton. We're going to start with you on this one. Touch on it a bit, but has social media made this worse or just made it seen?
Definitely seen. It's like social media as a concept is neither good nor bad. I believe I mentioned it earlier, but it's all about how you interact with it. Like the algorithms and everything that they go on there, they're just going to keep feeding you the same shit you engage with. So if you're just reciting a bunch of false news reports and everything from every clickbait article you see, that's what they're going to keep feeding you. But if you engage with things that are more positive, then you're going to keep seeing more of that. It's all about what you take out of it, and it's something I personally am working on because I'm getting tired of these bogus sites reporting all this crap, and I'm sitting here like, until I personally, if it ain't on Wikipedia, it didn't happen.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if I would go with Wikipedia.
Well, go ahead, Chris. Offer your input on that then. What do you got?
I mean, there are a lot of wrestling sites out there that I don't believe.
Wrestling Observer.
The site I use the most is 411 Mania / Wrestling, because they kind of grab everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I like them. But everyone goes with like every like little thing that's said is like, oh no, Santos Escobar is dealing drugs in Mexico.
Yeah. Can I piggyback off of Chris Ferrotto real quick?
Go ahead.
Anytime I see a headline about Booker T saying some dumb shit on the internet, I fucking cringe every single time because I'm sitting here like, we get it, Booker. You're capping for WWE, even though they treated you terribly for a good chunk of your career. We get it. Why is this news?
And
see,
same with Cornette. Same with Jim Cornette. Is like, I don't. Why do you care that the Young Bucks are slapping their legs and super kicking 1,500 times and you don't believe it?
From the same generation that stomps the ground whenever they throw a punch.
Yeah. For me, it's Vince Russo. When I see his name, it's like, yeah, this is bullshit.
Yeah, Vince Russo hasn't been relevant since 2000.
If he ever really even was. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
So
I think after his on the pole matches were a thing, I think he kind of lost his.
A friend of mine did show me like a couple of Vince Russo videos, and it's like, for a split second, I'm like, you know what? I understand how you got there. Like, I think the thing with Russo is he gives you 100 ideas. One of them is good, but do you really want to sift through the other 99 shitty ones to get to that one?
And that's why he worked in WWE, because he had Vince to filter those out.
He had Vince filtering them, whereas in WCW, he just gave you all 100, and you didn't. Yeah. You were gonna get all of them, and by the time you got to that one good one, you were sick of the other 99.
Russo thinks he was the god of 1999 ish.
Okay.
Like with
hold on. All right.
I like
Cornette. I like Cornette as a historian of wrestling. I don't like his takes. So
he's out of touch.
Yeah. Babs, we'll end that with you. Has social media made it worse, or just is it more seen now?
A little bit of A and a little bit of B. Because now people think that they can just say whatever they want to and it's okay because it's behind a computer screen. But those same fans have also been doing that before social media was even a thing. So it's kind of like you have to pick your poison a little. All right. You know what I mean?
Should wrestlers and other personalities in the business engage with those fans, or should they just leave it alone?
Okay, well, let me comment about that, because me and some friends of mine were commenting about Aubrey, that is the referee for AEW or something like that. Yes. And she actually stalks like certain Twitter accounts. Now, if you like or follow or do anything on these accounts, she automatically blocks you. Even if you've never like said anything to her or said anything about her, she blocks you just because she's involved or you're involved with one of these pages that she stalks and blocks. So I get kind of not, adding fuel to the fire, but doing stuff like that seems like a little overboard for the wrestler. You know what I mean? Because it sounds like a whole bunch of time is being wasted for nothing. Yeah.
Rest should never be the center of attention in a match, because
and I'm right. I say that.
And like I said, Chris is the ref, and he's like probably like one of the few that is like, I don't want to be a part of the match. I mean, I want to be known as the person that, hey, if you don't notice me, I'm doing my job.
Let me go hide in the corner
Right.
until it's time for the count, or I'm taking a bump. Either way, whatever works.
Oh, it's AEW botches. That's what it is. The account that she stalked is AEW botches because she has apparently been a featured participant on that for a while.
I mean, I'm not justifiably so. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but
there's plenty of criticism to offer at like how AEW structures a lot of their matches.
oh, guys, I'm sorry, but he's here. Aaron Wallace, think again. The snitch.
Oh, God. I hate you,
Snitch. I heard you was
Beetlejuice
talking
said
shit.
his name 3 times. He appeared out of nowhere.
Damn you, Aaron, for bringing him up. But okay,
and,
so
and can I just say that Christopher Miles got to referee something that I never got to referee, and that's a steel cage match.
last night it was fantastic. Warhorse and Cody Lane. It was awesome. Oh, and Stitch just says, "Hi, Christopher's. Hi, Snitch.
I don't know who you're talking to, but Snitch, go away.
I hope you lose." Anyway, so
Dang, that
Thornton-
toxic fan base again.
I am only toxic towards the Snitch.
Yes. So Thornton, should we engage? Should
I'll
we
be your
not? Should we
friend,
leave it be?
A lot. I would like to say no, but
Mhm.
it's easier said than done. A lot of times, because at the end of the day, the main reason why a lot of people say and do a lot of the absolutely outlandish things that they do from every walk of life, from the poor to the celebrities, is they want attention.
Yes.
And the more you give people their attention is validation. They don't care if it's good, bad, positive, negative. If their name is in somebody's mouth, they think they're doing something right because that makes them feel more important than they really are.
All right.
So the best way to
Exactly,
resolve
Snitch. I'll be your friend.
the best way to resolve that type of issue is to not give these dorks attention. Like,
Okay.
Every time Disco Inferno says something dumb on Twitter and somebody just clowns him, I'm like, damn. On one hand, that's hilarious, but on the other hand, he's going to keep saying stupid shit because he knows he's going to get a rise out of it.
It's about the interaction. He wants that. It's the whole
He
reason
wants
he
that
keeps doing
interaction. It's like he's a heel. It's like he's a heel in real life.
Is that what we're like leaving our lives as? Is like our interactions on Twitter is like, if I post is like, hey, Kenny Omega sucks, and people are gonna fucking respond to that and be like,
and you're gonna get like a 3,000 thread argument.
Right,
Like, bro,
so
my
Chris,
entire Twitter timeline is like 50% adult content and like 40% wrestling and 10% the 50-50 conversation. It's just people arguing about 50-50 in dating and relationships. That's all you see.
Right.
okay,
So Chris, should Kenny Omega respond to that?
No.
Kenny
Okay.
Omega
As a wrestler, you should not engage with this foolishness because people fail to realize this is the professional wrestling business. Keyword being professional. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a lot of wrestlers out there that are soft as baby shit, especially in AEW.
Okay.
They can't and start from the top with Tony Khan because that man can't take a lick of criticism.
No.
I'm gonna bring it down to a local level. If I post on the Snitch is the worst Dynamo champion of all time. Should he respond? I mean, maybe, but I mean,
He shouldn't care what you think.
He doesn't care what I mean. He's not the worst Dynamo champ of all time, in my opinion. But if I post that, there are going to be people that think I actually think that.
And he's probably going to be like, you know what? If you think I'm that bad, come to the ring and I'll show you otherwise.
Oh, I ain't no. I'm too fat, out of shape, and not in shape to wrestle the Snitch.
And so very unlicensed.
And so very unlikely. Well, we can move it to Illinois. We can move it to Illinois and maybe get away with it. But
Maybe.
but I'm going to send someone like Ricky Rodriguez in my place.
Yeah.
Maybe even Jeffrey Hyde or Ricky Cruz or
Hey, throw CJ Shine up in there.
How much are you going to pay him?
Don't worry, but that's not your opinion. I mean, do you want in on this or something, Chris?
I mean, I can count real
Hey, if
fast.
it's Jeff, I do.
He's like, hey, look, throw me $50 and you'll be a winner.
Right.
All right, so you were saying, Babs, about Jeff. Go ahead.
Oh,
If
I
it's
just
Jeff.
said if Jeff was involved, I at least wanted something from you, because I mean, I feel like I'm his manager now. So
There you go.
what do you got to pay? No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
So,
All right, so Chris, this is our last question. It comes to you. Can it be fixed or at least curtailed, the toxicity, or are we just stuck with it?
No, we're stuck with it because we're in a world where we are TikTok famous, and we look at things in 30-second videos.
So for this podcast, do not take a shot every time Rodell mentions TikTok. You'll be obliterated. So
Oh, I'd be out.
so Babs, can we fix it, curtail it, or are we just stuck with it?
I too think that we're kind of stuck with it, and piggybacking off of what you said earlier, I think as a society ourselves, we're so looking for something to be offended about, and something to, oh my gosh, this is the most worst thing ever, and you have to do something about it. I think that's a big thing of our society too, which I feel like companies like WWE and AEW shouldn't listen to, because that's kind of how they've made their money.
We
You know
have
what I
to-
mean?
we have-
Controversy
yeah.
makes money.
We have to be angry about something, but
Yeah.
honestly, wrestling shouldn't be that. Is like, that's my release. It's like when Raw comes on, I don't want to think about the world.
Right.
Hey, life is hard enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The wrestling has got me through some truly dark times in my life, and I don't want it to be sullied by some a-hole.
And you were at the Owen Hart thing, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I was in Kemper Arena that night, so that was quite the.
Oh my God! Oh wow!
Oh gosh.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, I was there that night, so that was pretty. That was changing my perspective of wrestling for a while.
That
But,
is traumatic.
Yes. So Thornton, we'll start with you. For our goodbyes, what do you want to throw out there? Where can we find you? What do you got to promote coming up?
So I run a Facebook page called Thornton Talks Wrestling.
Fantastic.
I review whatever shows I watch weekly. I usually do AEW Dynamite, Impact Wrestling, SmackDown, Collision. When Rampage or Raw is good or has something to talk about, I'll touch those. Whatever pay-per-views I encounter.
So you're
I
not that
created my
tribal, but
own
you're a little
rating
tribal.
system for matches because
Yeah.
unlike Meltzer, I can tell you why Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay is a 5-star match. So it's called Thornton Talks Wrestling, spelled THORNTON, just like my name.
All right.
Like the page on Facebook.
All right, you got your socials or
Follow me on Twitter at Thorntonimo. Same, just my name. Put AMO at the end.
all right.
Although, beware of the Twitter feed. It is not safe for anyone under 18.
Yeah, it is
over
a
18,
little
to be
adult.
honest.
But-
So are you but you're also a Jade Cargill stan.
I haven't recovered from doubling.
He had to take a breath.
He took a deep breath before he said anything
Yeah, he did.
about
All right,
when I
Thornton.
mentioned Jade Cargill.
buddy, we will see you next time. Thanks for coming on, talking with us. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Love you, Thornton.
Rodell, what do you got for us? Throw out some upcoming dates.
So my Twitter is at DJ Big Sexy STL, or it might just be Big Sexy STL. I don't
DJ
know.
Big Sexy STL.
Yeah. That was my DJ name when I was at Wild Country, and I haven't changed it. We will be in Farmington, Missouri, at the Coliseum on July something.
16.
16th, yeah.
15th.
15th.
Sunday.
15th.
July 15th.
Okay. Something like that.
Because the following week I will be in Iowa for the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, their convention. But you can also catch me on the Wrestle Talk podcast every Tuesday at 7 Central, 7 to 9 Central. This week we're gonna have Khalil Akbar gonna join us. The previous week we were supposed to have Dion. He unfortunately couldn't join us. but we've had Elride and we've had a whole bunch of local wrestlers on the show. So, and Christopher Miles has been on the show several times. So,
Yes. All right. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and having this great talk with us. We'll see you
talk to you
next time.
soon, brother.
Yep. Yep. All right, Babs, the floor is yours. Go ahead and promote away.
Well, you can find me at Barbie Ann on Facebook or my Twitter, which is I just changed, so it's Miss Babs 1840, and Instagram at Miss Babs 1828. And also on Wednesday, join us for I-70 Sports Media at 7:00 for Roundabout Sports. We're going to have my good friend Wildcat Chris Harris on with us that night, and it's also my birthday, so hopefully you guys can join us for that too.
All right. So, Babs, thanks for coming on. It was a great talk. We'll see you next time.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys, that'll do it for this week. I hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. Hope you had an entertaining conversation with us and had some thoughts pop in your head. But as always, you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at IWW_podcast. Like us on Facebook, Issues with Wrestling. And as like I said before, you could buy Christopher Miles merchandise and I-70 Sports and Media merchandise right here at this link, proslingtees.com/Christopher Miles. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 1_2_3 miles. You could follow me on Facebook. Just look up my name, Christopher Miles. And until next time, we cover another topic in wrestling business. I'm Christopher Miles, and I have issues with wrestling.